Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome to another exciting match here in our continuing coverage of the Crossworld Key Sanity Tournament. Today we have tstew versus WallKicks. In the booth, we have the amazing Ampharos as well as Dr. Bob Tastic. Tracking over here with me is Scott G239. So without further ado, I'm going to get this race underway. I'm going to throw it over to these two amazing commentators. So you are in for a treat. And I will talk to you all later. Have a good race, guys.
All right. So one of us is literally amazing. It says so on the tin.
Hey, you have a PhD in randomizers.
Yeah, basically. Unfortunately, all a PhD takes is way too much tenacity and not quitting and just keep going the whole time and not giving up. That's all it takes. It doesn't require any intelligence. So, anyway, once again, this is the first round of the bracket stage of the Crosskeys or Crossworld Key Sanity Tournament here on ZSR2, and we've got tstew versus WallKicks. This is the third game of this match. So the winner is moving on, the loser is going home, and this is going to be a pretty sick, hype match. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, both these runners are very strong. They've been putting up a lot of impressive showings throughout the tournament, as you'd really expect for anyone who made it this far into the whole thing. But they're 1-1 as well. It's for all the marbles. High stakes, high pressure match. I'm sure everyone's going to enjoy it, with the possible exception of these two, but I expect they'll take it in stride.
Yeah, I mean, you don't sign up to and practice for and get ready for a Crosskeys tournament without being prepared to handle what Crosskeys is going to throw at you. You know, things like, 3-hour hunts for Castle Tower small keys, that sort of thing. And you just get used to it after a while. I'm not saying it's Stockholm Syndrome, but it's close.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, sort of the mindset you have to have going into Crosskeys, and I'm pretty sure these two are fully aware of it, is it's extremely unlikely with the number of items required to beat the seed that at least one of them won't be somewhere really bad. So you expect to have to clear most of the world. It's just sort of the nature of it.
Yeah. In general, you're just trying to figure out how can I most efficiently full clear this game and hopefully maybe pick up a couple edges here and there if I get into go mode early.
Yeah, you're looking for, even though you won't skip a lot of stuff, you'd prefer what you do get to skip to be relatively high impact. You don't want to double back and repeat yourself. And you can also get thrown into some really difficult scenarios, and at this level, it's not just don't die, it's also execute cleanly enough so you don't lose time doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, starting from two different locations, WallKicks starting from Link's house and tstew starting from Sanctuary. Sanctuary holds the cape today.
I really appreciate how you look at their two spawning locations, and in a way, they both would have benefited more from the other's first item.
Fair enough, yeah. Alright, so Light World Hype Cave turns out to be our good old chicken hut. Just a map to ice in there. And this was, I believe, Blind's hut, or maybe the West house. He came out of the well. And whatever entrance he went into after that entered the right side of Desert Palace. So plenty of little detours to take around here.
I will observe that tstew is killing a lot of enemies in here. He's clearly using this to both fish for drops from couple different drop pools and also setting up for some tree pulls.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because, early on without weapons, killing enemies is not a simple task unless you've got stuff you can throw at them. And Desert Palace kind of fits that bill.
That's also a Given that he's been setting up tree poles, this is a remarkably convenient place to be connected.
Uh-oh.
Not remarkably convenient is that I have blessed the seed with an AGA 1 requirement.
That is true. One Ganon sitting at the bottom of a tree, which of course is going to require you to get both AGA Tower small keys. Ideally, you want a lamp. Logically, you want a lamp. There's a chance they don't use it, but it's pretty likely they'll have a lamp before they do it.
There is, of course, the meme everyone's been talking about all tournament, where you can do Armos shake storage to get in there without a bow. I'm sure this will be important someday. Or not without a bow, without the boots.
I have not heard of Armos shake storage, so is this new, or am I just dumb?
It's new-ish. It was discovered it's shortly-ish before the tournament, and the circumstances required to make it useful are obscure to the point of comedy. You have to kill one of the Armos, either Ice Armos or the ones in Eastern. You have to have already beaten AGA 1, and you just kind of go, and it auto bonks the tree for you, but it doesn't stay bonked, so you have to finish the game then and there. It's never going to happen.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I agree. The odds of that occurring are negligible.
But if there's one thing I know about the randomizer community, it's that it really loves absurdly obscure possibilities.
There is that. Yeah, I'm still pretty convinced that, the way the algorithm works, and I know you know the way the algorithm works, but basically, it goes until, it'll place items until placing one causes it to break, and then it'll move on to the next spot. So if there's any possibility that an item could be placed at all, and it comes up early in the list, it'll be there, regardless of how unlikely you think it is. So I just feel like just from a standpoint of the way the algorithm works, it tends to have at least one or two really obscurely placed items.
You can look at it that way. I mean, the other way to sort of look at it is it's not biased against the late game locations.
Right.
And there's a lot of late game locations, so it's really likely something's going to be in them, and those are high requirement spots.
Exactly. Well, there's the front of Turtle Rock there, which I imagine we'd already seen, but maybe not.
Yeah, I actually don't think tstew explored much of CAC. He found that desert connector and then went off on an adventure.
Yeah, you're right. And then he just decided to follow the route that WallKicks took, so yeah. WallKicks gonna refill on bombs here, one bomb at a time. Or maybe just grab one, sure.
I mean, the logic there is you could easily walk into something like Agana's Cave where having one bomb's a big deal. Oh, hello, third desert door. All three desert doors are in Sphere Zero Light World entrances.
That is interesting. I mean, a lot of times this the randomizer likes to use desert as a connector to the Dark World, so that's out the window today. But who knows? I have seen a Crosskeys seed where there actually were no connectors to the Dark World. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, the main thing you always have to think about is there's about twice as many Light World entrances as Dark World entrances. But on the other hand, a majority of the must connects, things like the top of Bumper Cave or those various Turtle Rock ledges, are in the Dark World. So it's very easy for the game to make a Light World to Dark World connector. just because it has a ton of light world entrances to choose from, and a lot of connectors have to string to the dark world one way or another.
Fair enough. Well, here's our Aga 1. We've located the dungeon. We also saw Swamp Palace over in the blacksmith's hut.
So one potential massive troll that is obviously very rare, but very devastating when it happens. We see both runners with this early hammer are pretty easily going to be, well, easily on the second try in WallKicks' case, going to be able to get this first chest. If that second chest is the vanilla small key, expect a full clear of the world before they find it.
Oh yeah, you're not coming back in here until you have that second small key. You might come back in if you have one small key, just because this is not, like, super out of the way. But that just depends on how desperate you are for items. Oh, and there's a pod, so that's a pretty nice find.
Given how tstew has been desperately searching for bombs this entire seed, I'm going to guess he's pretty satisfied with locating pod there.
Oh yeah, pod is a excellent spot to pick up bombs. You can pick up 2 just in the center area, and you could push the statue for a third.
You get a free bomb like tstew took advantage of just going down that left side the first time.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if tstew is going to go for the mimic clip here.
If tstew's comfortable with the trick, which I would say is reasonably probable, it wouldn't be surprising just because he's already going some chunk of the way there, but maybe not.
Well, he is leaving, but he might just be restocking bombs. No, he's peacing out for a minute. Oh, there's our hype cave. With a cane of Samaria. Alright, there's a somewhat reasonable weapon. Well, we got the hammer, but... And a mirror! There was a turtle rock key and a glove. Okay, game. Okay. I see
hype
what
cave
you're doing.
Was actually hype today.
Yeah, that's a good, 9.8 out of 10 right there.
If that's not 10 out of 10, what is 10 out of 10? Would the other 2 chests have had to be the other glove and the pearl?
Yeah, basically. Now that's 11 out of 10. Oh, well, there's a Dark World connector. tstew has found his way to the Dark World as a bunny, because bunny shenanigans are sweet. Oh, and that cane prompts WallKicks to head directly back to Turtle Rock here.
I think this is a really smart play. For one, it's taking advantage of an early item. The logic could easily be pointing you right here with the cane. And for 2, he needed the bomb anyway. So he was covering a problem he had in further exploration and taking care of a logical dead end all at the same time.
Yeah, very nicely done. All right, so it looks like WallKicks is going to do his trip through desert now. While tstew will locate the Turtle Rock entrance here. But yeah, I don't blame.
A pretty generous kit of starting items here. With a cane, a glove, a hammer, and a mirror, things are pointing a lot of ways, and I think the question that has to be on all our minds is, how do we get up to this mountain?
Mm-hmm. For all we know, with that glove, it could be vanilla. Or, you go through that entrance. I wouldn't bet on it being the actual old man cave.
Yeah,
but that being said,
I'm just looking at it like, if you can get up on the mountain, no matter how you do it, you can get such a large percentage of the mountain, because with the mirror plus hammer, you can go from the base of the East Light or the West Light Mountain all the way over to the summit of the East Mountain, and that's just so much access.
Yeah. Now the only annoying thing is if you end up having to go, do that twice so that you can access more than one cave on the east side. Like, for example, in that case, it would more than likely be the spiral cave entrance that you would abandon as you jump down. Because I imagine most people would jump down the center because that's 2 entrances.
Yeah, there's a little depends in the sense that if you've already found a connector to Turtle Rock ledges, you kind of jump down whichever side you hadn't connected to already.
Yeah, that makes plenty of sense.
tstew, no doubt, getting a little bit of a chuckle, learning that all 3 desert entrances are in the light world. I don't think WallKicks has seen the right desert door yet, but when he clears out the northern part of town, he'll learn. Oh, man, and that's... So that's kind of a bad feeling because you're stuck, but also kind of a good feeling because you've ruled out a really inconvenient entrance, and you have a really good save and quit here with Sank at the well.
Absolutely. Alright, so WallKicks has now found the right entrance of desert.
That's got to get the gears turning in his head just a bit, because you can see WallKicks is really prioritizing connectors, because he's probably thinking exactly what I said earlier. I'm just looking for the connector onto the mountain. That's going to be what this seed wants. But he's ruled out actually quite a few of the connectors he's already found, so that's going to raise questions. Is there another important progression item here in Sphere 0, or is the connector simply in one of the entrances we haven't been to yet?
Well, and there was that connector that tstew found to South Dark World, and with that mirror, you can go to Cave 45, back of the race game, that sort of thing. So that might be a place where you end up wanting to go.
Yeah, the Bunny Walk mirror plays are definitely in the table, too. And that's something that's a little spooky from a runner's perspective, because it's a slow type of play, but obviously it's hardly unthinkable that it would be correct.
Yeah, I don't like going like super hard on bunny shenanigans too early, but when you have a mirror like that, it's just like, maybe.
And it's not like Sphere 0 is anywhere near exhausted either. We still have the whole eastern area and almost everything south of Link's house.
Yep. And of course, we do have that glove, which makes it far less arduous to head to the South Shore area. You don't have to skip those lift entrances down there.
Had WallKicks already been through Bumper Cave?
I'm not certain.
Because I just observed he has the cape. He can go through Bumper Cave pretty freely, and I think tstew went through it and it led somewhere dumb. I'm honestly not 100% sure. But then again,
I think that might have been the connector to the Dark World.
But yeah, I can't blame WallKicks for just chasing after the well, too. He knew Well at Sank was a 50-50 at this point.
All right, big key of Turtle Rock found, as well as the Cane of Burna.
Cane of Burna is an item that I think a lot of people don't like very much, but honestly, there's a lot of scenarios at this point in the game that cane could really help out. It's really good against Ice Armos. It could kill the Pokey in Turtle Rock. It's your best weapon to fight blind, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of
Unless you got a sword, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways the seed could go where that blue cane could still see quite a bit of play.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I love about this game and Crosskeys in particular, is that a lot of times you just have to be able to make creative use of the items that are in your possession, just to survive sometimes. Alright, Cave 45 for WallKicks. Nope.
That was an important discovery of a place where progression isn't.
Correct. Unfortunately, we are getting a important discovery of where you should stand with the mirror portal.
You know, that's kind of a thing that a lot of people don't think about very much, but mirror bonking can cost you a lot of time over the course of a race. You gotta think about where you mirror and how you walk back into those portals.
All right, so I personally have a rule where if I run across the upgrade fairy and I have the money and it's early, I'm buying a bomb upgrade.
Yeah, in the situation WallKicks was in, I probably would have bought it just because he's at 4 bombs, so you're basically buying 11 bombs for 100 rupees, guaranteeing you're not going to have bomb trouble for the rest of the seed.
And it may not be readily apparent, but absolutely the bunny can purchase that.
For the most part, this bunny walk that tstew was about to do for himself wasn't too rewarding. That bottle could be important if we run into Sick Kid in one of our various remaining routes.
Yep, certainly nothing wrong with it.
Of course, the bottle came pre-stocked with a potion, so if we want to go back and do the Bowlock side of pod as well, that would be a pretty free play. But there's really nothing remaining for them in that northwest part of the world with what they have, so I wouldn't anticipate either runner being in a hurry to do that.
All right, we found Sazrala's closet here at the dam location.
Tower of Hera's our green pendant, so do not skip Hera Big Key by Hera potting this seed. There's no reason to orphan Hera a big chest to pick up a pendant early.
Seems legit.
Desert Big Key's kind of funny as well, because you don't really want to go back to Desert, which is a series of not very helpful connectors for one chest, but because none of the connectors go anywhere good, you just have to make a side trip for it eventually. Or I guess you can not and just pray it's nothing, but that doesn't always work out.
All right, Blind's Hut found at the Canyon Ferry.
You know, I never thought of this area as a canyon. I guess it kind of is. Majora's Mask taught me that canyons are scary places in Zelda games.
Fair enough. Yeah, but I mean, the scariest thing in the canyon in Majora's Mask is the face that your statue leaves behind.
And see, I thought the scariest thing was getting stun-locked by the Gibdos dancing in circles around that house.
Nah. Creepy face. Anyway. Hey, there's the dam, so didn't move terribly far from its normal location.
Though I do have to say, releasing a floodgate in a desert sounds like an ecological disaster. Link to the Past not known for its environmentally friendly policies.
True facts.
But yeah, that dam's going to route real cleanly for both players. tstew taking nearly an identical route to WallKicks at this point, being just a small amount behind. You just check the Drain Dam item, then you do the rest of South Shore. You even get $300 here. That's Zora money for both of them. Just, your problems are sorting themselves out in a very convenient way.
Very nicely done. All right. So we're going to see what's at the mini Moldorm Cave entrance.
Oh, convenient.
Big chest of Turtle Rock, and we can access it. What an amazing concept. And
speaking of amazing concepts, here's a big question. Do you continue all the way to Laser Bridge here?
Ooh. I mean, maybe? Like, once you found that entrance that you just found, you would only need one more key, period, to do this dungeon. Because you can definitely access Chain Chomp Room from here. And, you can get the key off the pokey to reach the middle chest or the boss, depending on what you do. So, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of okay with this if you know the Dark Room, and, most runners at this level are going to know this Dark Room. It's not a particularly difficult one. It may look like it. Like, it's intimidating when you look at it. It's like all these paths and all this stuff, and how in the world would you know? But it's like a couple of directions you gotta hold.
Yeah, this is the Eternal Rock Dark Room is the one that once you learn it, it just poses no real problems for you. Kind of the opposite of a lot of other Dark Rooms that seem more straightforward, but there's a lot of subtle things you have to account for.
Oh, there's our Moon Pearl on Laser Bridge there. Kind of feels like going out this door is going to lead to somewhere accessible then, but, I mean, who knows?
I understand WallKicks wanting to check this like this, because from his perspective...
I mean, it could be GT for all you know, right?
Yeah, he could get stuck, and then this chest is horribly orphaned. As it turned out, that chest was just a compass, but you don't know that. Well, tstew's routed a little differently and has made his way into the castle. This turned out to lead to the Light Mountain Summit. This is going to create some massive divergence. Note, this connector is not in logic. Logically,
absolutely
you need
not.
3 small keys for Turtle Rock and a lamp to do this. So, all the questions.
I wonder if that connector that WallKicks just found is the way you're supposed to get there. I mean, you never know. Not until we actually follow one of these connectors. Speaking of connectors, good lord.
I do think it's a little interesting that WallKicks is prioritizing these Light Mountain entrances over the Dark Mountain entrances. My experience, the mountain route's a little cleaner if you do the dark side first, assuming you have the items to do so, which WallKicks does.
So I like waiting until I find the old man and then going to the Dark World if I can.
That's just kind of
it's a little
only really it's only easy to do the Dark World with the old man if you find him specifically in the Spectacle Rock Cave, I think, which
that's
didn't happen
accurate.
here. Because you can either walk all the way up the mountain with the old man, or you can return him, and then you inevitably do the Dark Mountain basically last.
Ooh, okay. One old man returned. Eastern Palace map, turns out. And there's our bomb shop. So, Mire and Pod are our 5 and 6 crystals, turns out.
WallKicks spending 100 rupees on bombs, just like tstew did earlier, but in his case, he's not actually getting a capacity expansion with it.
Yep.
tstew's kind of slogging through Dark Cross here. This can be a little tricky, but tstew handles it like a pro.
Yeah. Most runners, if they don't have a lamp there, would prefer to have a sword at least, so you can kind of navigate relatively normally. But that turns out to not be the case right now. tstew manages to find another entrance to the Dark World, this time over to West Dark World, one of the more prominent Dark World areas. But that actually is one of the places I like to do bunny shenanigans least, if I can help it.
WallKicks forgetting how he's explored. Finds Sick Kid again. Kid doesn't help you too much the second time. And I really do like T-Stew's decision. It took him a minute to reach the decision to just not bunny walk here. We know with where Pearl is, he's going to be bored a lot.
There's another entrance in roughly the same area.
The bait was too strong. T-Stew went down here the second time. This is
Bombos
not
medallion on top of Bumper Cave there, which is interesting to note.
It is extremely unlikely there's going to be anything T-Stew wants to see here in the Dark World.
So I really hope WallKicks remembers to mirror here. Because I don't think he's checked this particular entrance in the Light World. Okay.
And yeah, putting this one off for last is good routing, of course. It just prevents him from having to make the extra trip around. And here's our Green Pendant Hera. Very simple situation here. You get 2 chests, and if Hera Big Key's not one of them, you leave.
That seems accurate. That is another Turtle Rock key, which, that's all the Turtle Rock keys you need. I mean, logically, of course not, but that's all you need.
That is really interesting to see from a logic perspective, because it means that if your way to Laser Bridge was the way that WallKicks got there, that all the other Turtle Rock keys are accessible. It's more likely that Fairy Ascension connector he saw is something significant. Somewhere he can reach, that is.
Yeah, so he's got the Fairy Ascension connector. He's also got the Brother's House connector at Tower of Hera. So 2 different connectors.
I mean, I guess you could also say it could be possible he can just find a lamp and find the other side of the Old Man Cave.
Yeah, true.
T-Stew, for his part's clearing out front of Skull. We know, well, T-Stew knows as well as we do, this isn't going to get him a pearl or anything, but it could be of value. WallKicks discovers the other side of the Quarreling Brothers is the the Village of Outcast Fortune Teller. So there are 3 different connectors in this Northwest Dark World area, none of which are the Bumper Cave ledge. So Connector City up here.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, the reason he mentioned the Bumper Cave ledge is the Bumper Cave ledge has to have a connector.
Yeah, the way this randomizer's logic is written, it's guaranteed that you can eventually reach every entrance. Well, it's supposed to be guaranteed. There's a couple weird cases where you can't. But what that effectively means is that all the places that can only ever be reached by connector, no matter what items you have to have a connector going there. And there's no way to reach a Dark World ledge with only 1 door on it without having a connector spit you out there.
Yep, so that gives you, the Dark World, both of the Dark World Turtle Rock ledges, the Bumper Cave ledge, and the floating island location. That's all I can think of off the top of my head. There's probably some more.
Yeah, the other must connect that's notable is the sort of whammy one, Desert Right.
Oh, right, Desert Right. Oh, boy. Yeah, Desert Right, it's just like, oh, well, sometimes I'm okay with seeing Desert Right when I want to, explore the desert area and haven't yet, but that's about it.
So we see a little routing divergence. T-Stew is checking the sort of center of Turtle Rock.
Oh, speaking of sort of center.
Yeah, a big key, a sword that is logically behind every Turtle Rock small key, but practically is checked by a lot of runners very early. That sword's going to help out a lot. The Chomp Room is really the spicy one, because this is fully logically available to both runners with really nothing at all.
Yeah, if you can access either of the middle 2 entrances in Turtle Rock, and if it's the big chest, you have to be able to cross the gap logically. But once you've taken care of that chest is accessible, period.
Yeah, and I actually really like tstew's decision to do that path before the other one, because there's no circumstance, no matter what tstew found, that he would ever decide to continue toward the front of Turtle Rock. He's already found the front of Turtle Rock. But this just means that he's cleared out those middle 2 chests without having to worry about them later, and can continue to laser bridge with a couple more items in his bag. And in this case, that's a sword in the bag. Who knows how far this route's going to take him? That sword could come into play in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, and you gotta figure if you're heading back here to Laser Bridge, you'll want to take the exit out. And so doing so is gonna, if you don't take care of those other 2 chests right away, it's gonna be a hot minute before you get back here.
I also really like how both runners are actually making pretty heavy use of their cape. Like, it's an item that a lot of stronger players, you know, when you get to a certain level of execution, it's really easy to have a little bit of an ego about you, and you don't want to use safety items like the cape, but it can just make certain things a lot simpler.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're like super confident that you're going to get it perfect every time and it's going to be faster, I don't see why you wouldn't want to use like a cape there on Laser Bridge or something like that. You know what I mean?
So this is a very much in logic Spike Cave check for WallKicks. Actually pretty remarkable, though, 33 minutes in, have Spike Cave be a logical check, but that's what the seed is.
Yeah. And that is a bow, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, boy. All right, so right side of pod is a thing. So yeah, this is in logic with so it's in logic with Cane of Burnup by itself, like that's all you need, or like the half magic and the cape puts it in logic, or the bottle and the cape puts it in logic. There's a lot of different ways we have in logic. Of course, in any case you do have to have the hammer and glove. That would be a prerequisite.
Yeah,
I don't know how many times I've gone
shop yet, so that would be a bit of an issue for the bottle route. But when you have 2 other
no, we've seen it.
Oh, we have seen the potion shop.
Yeah, it's if tstew had mirrored there, it would have been right there, or maybe it's here, but I know it's in CAC.
Okay, then we have every lot. You need one of 3 different combinations of items for the invincibility to put that in logic, and we have all of them.
It's beautiful. But yeah, I don't know how many times I have attempted to go into Spike Cave and then remembered that I didn't have a glove. Sometimes I remember as soon as I hit the block and try to lift it. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's on the list of painful randomizer mistakes to make, along with going to the boss of Desert or Pod without the big key.
Oh, yeah.
Climbing GT without a way to light torches.
Yeah, that's a big oof, too.
On WallKick's side, in a fairly accessible location that might be a little bit of an orphan spot for tstew, he found the Eastern Big Key. That's not only an excellent find for the obvious reasons that it's probably required to beat the game, but in combination with that bow, if WallKicks walks into Eastern Palace, he gets 6 items and probably a crystal, just like that.
So tstew found Paradox Cave. In the bottom, we had the hookshot and the boots. So, yeah.
Gotta say that this Paradox Cave is going to be moving him through the seed.
Very much so. I have to imagine if somebody came in there and picked up the boots first and was like really excited about trying to do hovering and then picked up the hookshot, that would be a roller coaster of emotion. But let me tell you,
there's a fire rod, so the immediate question there is, how early do you break from your routing and go kill Trinex?
That is a good question. So we do have up there. Was that another Turtle Rock key?
Okay, that's a Turtle Rock key in the Dark World. That confirms there is a different connector that will lead to the mountain. Because there's simply no other way that Moon Pearl location works.
Speaking of Fire Rod, our intrepid WallKicks has found Ganon's tower.
So WallKicks doesn't have Hookshot to do left side or Fire Rod to do right side. Right side's going to actually be a block, but without boots either, this is an awkward situation. WallKicks could sequence break the full left side. Probably won't here, but we know it would benefit him quite a bit to do so, given that all the other items to do this are kind of back where he hasn't been yet.
Yeah. Well, at least we're taking care of Tile Room. And, that's another thing about Crosskeys is when you go into GT, you just basically do Tile Room unless you've got more access to the dungeon. It's just sort of a rite of passage for everybody. You just get used to Tile Room.
A way that I like to tell people to think about checks and Crosskeys, and this also applies to other traditionally slow checks like Catfish as well, is Crosskeys takes like an hour longer, not quite an hour, but most of an hour longer than a standard randomizer, but it doesn't have more checks in it. So you should be increasing the amount of time per check until you think a check isn't worth it, just mathematically.
Fair enough. It's a good way of thinking about it. tstew setting up some very nice bomb jumps to get to the Stalfos room. Now, if I had to guess, this is probably where he's going to stop. I don't think he's going to continue.
Yeah, that would be smart. It's difficult to continue the rest of the way. And the Stalfos room often goes into logic much before the rest of it because it's not blocked by any GT keys.
Right. Alright, WallKicks now dealing with Skull Woods, it looks like.
Now, this is a bit of a punish for his routing, too, because when tstew inevitably makes his way over here, he'll be able to just kill Mothula, whereas WallKicks is multiple items from that being possible.
It looks like tstew is trying to do the Herapod here, despite this being a pendant dungeon.
Yeah, a pendant dungeon, skipping the big chest. I'm going to be honest, I don't like this play at all. I feel like it's unnecessarily betting the race on there being nothing in Hera Big Chest, and also potentially wasting time if there's just nothing anywhere and Hera Big Key's really buried.
And WallKicks has located Ice Palace, of course, again, unable to do anything due to lack of Fire Rod. So yeah, that, East Death Mountain is basically just Fire Rod Central, it turns out.
I mean, WallKicks has seen the Bombos. He could consider that someday he'll have a Bombos medallion.
All right,
Not the best Moldorm fight for tstew, but he didn't fall. And that's going to have to be good enough for today.
Yeah, just, didn't die, didn't fall. Anyone you walk away from. There's our Paradox Cave for WallKicks. Oh, that's actually kind of interesting, because the way that Paradox Cave was accessed was doubly out of logic.
I think it's somewhat more likely WallKicks checks where these other two connectors go. Because at most one of them leads to a must connect, and I mean the odds aren't that bad one leads straight to that Bombos medallion.
Yeah, though after picking up the Fire Rod, he's going to be less interested in picking up Bombos, but you wouldn't turn it down. Especially because it could be required for an entrance.
But yeah, we've seen some really loaded item caves this seed. You know, Hype Cave had 3 progression items. Paradox Cave has 3 progression items. So both our runners are really doing well just in terms of item collection in general. I always like to say a randomizer seed's more defined by the last item than the first, but if this pace continues for much longer, we're going to have a very fast seed on our hands.
All right, we have found the Desert Right connector for tstew. And that one of those Paradox Cave entrances came out at the Agate Tower entrance, which is pretty interesting.
Now, that's mostly convenient, I would say, because it tends to be very slow to walk here in the Dark World. But it does mean that you've, in a weird way, sort of orphaned the Pyramid Ledge item. Until, of course, you kill Agua 1, which we know you have to do eventually in this seed.
Yep. Or, you know, if you happen to kill Agate 2 first, I mean, there is that. And there's our Bombos.
It would be tempting to make fun of WallKicks there for forgetting that you can't boomerang the mini Moldorms, but in reality, he probably actually forgot that he didn't have, or that he had a boomerang and tried to quick swap to hook dot.
Yeah, it's not that I forgot what the boomerang can do; it's that I forgot I had a boomerang in the first place. Anyways, we found a book here in Hookshot Cave, and which was at the Light World Foothills Cave there, and it is a heck of an entrance for Hookshot Cave to be in, I tell you.
That is a rough death for tstew. He died at the very end of Spike Cave, probably about a frame away from walking off that, and we know that's a bow.
Oh yeah, that is a little bit gross, not gonna lie. All right,
and
so
the routing for WallKicks,
yeah.
Brought him right back to GT. You now have both a fire rod and a hook shot. You're doing this. There's
Congratulations.
No possible justification. I mean, you could argue you're orphaning GT Big Chest, and you are, but whatever.
No, he's just planning on finding the big key of GT in here.
It's not even unthinkable. Like, what people like to say is that GT is more than 10% of the items in the game. And they like to say that because it's true. So any
Very
given
much.
item, if you're looking for it, GT isn't a bad guess.
Ooh, there's a flute for WallKicks. I just realized the number of items in GT it divides into the total number of items in the game.
Is 216 divisible by 27? I haven't
It is.
actually done that math.
216 is 6 cubed. And so it's 3 times 3 times 3 times 2 times 2 times 2, and 27 is 3 cubed. So, so it's actually an eighth of the items in the game.
In terms of items in the game, we also found a lamp here in GT. Given that we already had a fire rod, it's more of a convenience than anything, but it's a really nice convenience, especially if we have to do silverless Ganon.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, flippers were in there as well. That is true. And we do know where Swamp Palace is, and we have found the dam, so that's a thing that can be done.
Though we still don't have the Swamp Small Key, and that's...
overrated. I mean, yeah, you're right.
You will get an item from Swamp right now, but you always want a little more.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this isn't like when it came out, like in V27 or something, when it was about 10% to be the small key in like the vanilla small key. It's kind of ridiculous.
I don't think the entrance randomizer ever had that problem, but maybe...
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think I'm thinking of like when they originally came out with Key Sanity in the first place.
Yeah. So something important to remember is that the entrance randomizer itself has always had a different code base from the standard item randomizer. And the algorithm that is now used by both was originally the entrance randomizer's item distribution algorithm. Thank you, ALttPR. Your contribution to the randomizer was enormous, and not everyone knows it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Most people think it was you.
No, my big role was a lot of the logic stuff for the entrance randomizer. The earliest part of the code base, including the algorithm that is really the core algorithm that all the randomizers have used since, well, it became clear to everyone it was the best one that had been developed. It was ALttPR. His name is in the credits, but I don't know that everyone knows what his specific role was.
And the great thing about the algorithm is not only does it provide a very diverse randomizer experience, but it's also extremely efficient. You don't have to sit there and run a simulation every time you want to do an item.
Yeah, about 50% of the runtime is basically just kind of a sort of careful sanity check that you could hypothetically not do, but it's better to spend a little extra runtime to greatly reduce the odds of impossible seeds.
Unfortunately, we've seen a lot of Turtle Rock, and I'm not sure there's enough items left for all swords in Turtle Rock. Well, no,
there are exactly enough items left.
There are exactly enough.
Both Fire Rocks items and Trinexes drop.
So yeah, when you say it's unlikely, you are not kidding. But it could happen. It's not outside the realm of possibility. Alright, WallKicks going to be doing some ice breaking. Well, that's a Swamp Palace item, but it's not the small key. Jisoo looks like we're going to be joining the party here.
So both runners are committing to not worrying about the Ice Palace Big Key. Given the location of Ice Palace, I don't blame them for this decision, but always just a little bit nervous of a decision to do this.
So there's another Ganon's Tower small key there in Ice. So that's a interesting thing to find. I mean, wait, does WallKicks have both Ice Palace small keys? Are those in GT?
I'm pretty sure he has both. It doesn't actually really change anything without Big Key having the second Ice Palace small key. It's just a thing he has.
Yeah, I was just like, wow, I don't ever expect to get both Ice Palace small keys. Ever.
I frequently expect to find technical progression items that don't actually help me. It's my favorite kind of item to find.
Fair enough. So there is one other thing that WallKicks could have done in GT, and that is he could have found the Big Key, which would have been great, but unfortunately he didn't. So my brain was about to say he could have gone up GT. What am I talking about? No. He could have found the Big Key, though. That would be great.
Almost vanilla blue mail. It was just moving up a little.
Yep, just thinking third dimensionally there a little bit.
In all honesty, that blue mail find is kind of nice for WallKicks, given that he's swordless going into this boss fight.
Yeah, you don't tend to want to fight Cold Stare without a sword.
Like, you have half magic fire rod, so you're going to get 8 good fire rod shots on Cold Stare here, but it's an awkward fight. And you're probably going to have to go for some hammer hits. So there were a couple of really nice fire rod doubles there. That was, like, he's still going to have to use the hammer at the end here, but that was very good by WallKicks.
Now, I would have been tempted to open with Bombos, to be honest.
I mean, I would have loved to open with Bombos, but can't.
Right, he doesn't have a sword. I'm a dumb. Hi.
tstew was able to open with Bombos, but then flubbed the next stage of the fight, so probably actually going to amount to about the same total time in the fight that WallKicks had.
Yeah,
Just
be
because he
about a
had better
wash.
items, but executed it worse.
Well, we are just running through all of those GT keys, aren't we? All right, flute going to be activated by WallKicks here.
This is really the only play that made any sense in his position. He was done with this overworld area completely. He just got the flute out of GT and the section of Dark World that saving quit put him to has more stuff to do. So, very sensible play by WallKicks here. The only real question is what he does next. Looks like he's gonna go and take care of Desert Big Chest. That makes some degree of
and the
sense.
right side.
Yeah, just take care of everything remaining in Desert Palace. Why not? It's not going to be faster later. That pod small key will likely bait him into pod, which is right next door.
Correct. And it is a little bit awkward that that is our first pod key. You usually see a lot more pod keys early on.
Especially because we know pod is a crystal, so pod keys could easily end up being a rather significant bottleneck in this seed. I would actually be tempted if I were WallKicks not to open the middle door and well, no, you can do it. You just go. I mean, no, you don't have the big key. Never mind. I'm being dumb. Sorry, I just talked myself in circles, forming a route plan for something that's totally.
Oh, was that a Castle Tower small key?
No, that's a swamp key.
Oh, a swamp key? Why
Even
did I
better,
think it was Castle
probably.
Tower?
That is a point. We need Castle Tower keys, but that wasn't it.
Well, I mean, I'm certainly not going to say no to swamp key. All right, we're going to get some fire rod checks here. I think we might have momentarily tried to drop a block with the Cane of Burna. Which is...
I have
quick
often
swap.
been in this situation that I just really wanted to find a can of red paint as my next progression item.
I agree.
Yeah, tstew just gonna make the dive here. Gonna go and kill Trinex. WallKicks finds the Hera big key. Since he has not done Hera pot, he'll be able to do one more check next time he's in the Hera area. We'll see if that ends up being significant.
And it looks like WallKicks is going to go for swamp here.
I think this is a pretty good call from WallKicks. He's going to leave behind the big chest. It's not as bad to return to as it seems like at first. This is 9 items. There's
sword
a sword.
for WallKicks.
That it's easy to laugh at it, but in all honesty, that just made Argus a lot less annoying.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, menu boss is the worst. At least with a sword, you can. I mean, even with a fighter sword, you can like do charge, spin, double pulls, right?
Yeah, and the fighter sword fight is pretty close in time to the master sword fight. It's really only when you get to tempered that you're saving big amounts of time.
All right. Speaking of menu boss, tstew taking care of Trinex here. Get 10 arrows, and he's going to get dropped in front of the other end of Turtle Rock there, so he's going to get the same items that WallKicks did a few moments ago.
Kind of looking likely at this point that WallKicks is about to find a pendant in here. Because we've seen a lot of the crystals.
Oh yeah, there is that. Yeah, basically, it's either desert or here, right?
Yeah, I don't remember the map check that told tstew that Thieves Town was a pendant, but I'll trust our trackers and assume it was.
Yeah. Trackers are the best. 100%. All day long. Shoutouts to Scott and Jinxie.
Yet tstew sees that Hera big key, and in his mind, it's got to be, I did not find an item in this chest. Nothing here to see.
Now, Saha said that Hera was the green pendant.
Phoenix Wright just put on his Miles Edgeworth outfit.
Oh, wow. I had not even considered that, but yes, that is clearly what's happened here. Yeah, Phoenix Wright has gone on the offensive and become the prosecutor.
Given how fairly the courts of the Phoenix Wright world treat the defense, he probably considers this an excellent development.
Yeah, that does seem like an upgrade in terms of job at that point. Yep, that was the Swamp Palace small key. I apparently can't read. Yeah, both runners did find the Desert Small Key. Pretty sure.
So the fact that tstew doesn't know where GT is definitely the biggest thing separating both runners right now. We know you have to find it for the flippers, if nothing else. So this whole Swamp Palace play, which so far, other than letting us have an Ace Attorney diversion in our discussion, hasn't really given WallKicks anything, is definitely the difference point here. WallKicks is really hoping this is a crystal, and he doesn't know he's hoping that.
Alright, nice double pole spin.
Stumpy gives us another one of those pod small keys. They're starting to show up.
And we have reached the Argus Freedom phase. Wow, 4 Ice Rod shots. Nicely done. Picks up a shield and a crystal. There we go.
So we
have our
viewers
crystal
know
situation.
the last pendant is Desert Palace. Neither runner has complete information as of yet, but we do. And yeah, that Ice Rod was very clean. I'm pretty sure the only weapon that can 4-hit Argus in that phase is the Ice Rod. The Fire Rod cannot due to some quirks with how its splash damage works. But excellently done from WallKicks, and he's in pretty good overall shape here now.
And he just goes right back to that portal that he so expertly dropped right there in the middle of the town. And he's going to head through Spectacle Rock Cave. I think this is the one that ends up at Desert, right?
I'm just looking at it. All WallKicks needs for Go mode is to find Eastern and the Mire and Pod Big Keys, right?
Yeah. I mean, he also needs to find Meyer, which tstew just did.
Oh yeah, the 2 Castle Tower small keys. That definitely isn't going to be a massive bottleneck that's going to hold up both runners.
Oh boy. Yeah, like I said, I may have jinxed everybody at the top of the coverage when I said something like 3-hour Castle Tower small key hunt, but I mean, again, superstition ill befits a randomizer runner, like you said. I don't know if you said that on the air, but it is true.
I've said stuff just like that about 1,000,000 times. Glad we agree.
Speaking of small keys, we've got one on the pyramid, and it is Pod. That's 3 Pod keys, which is quite a lot for dealing with that situation.
I noticed tstew only has 2 marked. Did he not find the one WallKicks has?
Possibly. Forgot where it was. But yeah, WallKicks is about to grab another one right now. Meanwhile, tstew is over in the actual pod area, trying to make sense of some of this.
Of course, speaking of pod and how relatively few items we are from Go mode, I'm pretty sure pod is our greatest remaining concentration of items. At least if you have the knowledge WallKicks has, which means that we know that most of GT and most of Swamp are already cleared out.
Yeah, pod does seem pretty lucrative at the moment. And WallKicks is going to head for Bombo's tablet. Again, not going to be able to actually acquire the item, but he is going to find out what it is.
And he's probably just going to jump down and check Desert Main here. Or maybe not.
I mean, I would have considered it, but I think he's more inclined to head over toward Dark Shopping Mall and maybe Pyramid.
I just would have done it because you can save and quit to Link's house and use the Hype Cave portal.
There is that. And speaking of pod, tstew checking out the actual pod entrance, which is dark.
Imagine at over an hour doing pod Eastern as a duo with the mirror and entrance. That never happens.
Speaking of dark. Now, WallKicks has decided to venture into Misery Mire here, which is an interesting play.
I like this decision, because you can get 6 of the 8 items here. It's relatively quick, and you're not that far from Go mode. And you also know that the really big zones have mostly been cleared out already.
Yeah. Alright, so tstew's making his way through Super Bunny Cave. I'm not sure if we've seen this yet. And there is the big key of pod, so yeah, we have not seen that.
There's a lovely item required to beat the game for tstew.
That's going to connect us to the large East Death Mountain Bridge, giving us access to Mimic Cave, which turns out to be the bomb farm rat place.
I always call it the CAC restock hut, but I'm sure many people have their own names for that.
That is a much better way of saying it.
Man, Firelocked Mire having all the value. In fact, an easily measurable amount of value, 40 rupees worth.
Yeah. It is absolutely accurate. What can I say? I like your appraisal.
To answer the important question in chat, GT is Fairy Ascent Bottom entrance, which is behind the Myth Rocks on East Death Mountain. Sorry to talk over you there. I didn't mean to.
Nah, that's fine. Probably did a better job for the broadcast anyway, letting people know, hey, I'm answering a question from chat. I always forget to do that. Anyway, okay, there's the Swamp Big Key.
That could actually be pretty significant. If there's a required item in Swamp Big Chest, it's going to be a problem for WallKicks, and it will not be a problem for tstew.
Yeah, because tstew, of course, hasn't been anywhere near there yet. Hey, there's a Castle Tower small key in Mire, so that's one of them.
Yeah, we got the Castle Tower small key. We also got an Ice small key. WallKicks probably more excited by the Ice Big Key, rather. WallKicks probably a lot more excited by the small key than the big key here.
And we have, in fact, confirmed that the pedestal is just a map.
There's a couple maps we're not going to get here. So,
yep.
I think WallKicks did already see that Thieves Town is a pendant, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't know that Eastern is a crystal.
Yeah, that sounds accurate. Alright, so speaking of our reactions to Pod earlier, tstew is finally heading into Pod. He did go ahead and open the front door, which is fine. A lot of people, what they'll do here is they'll just abandon both of the key locked items and just go beat the boss.
I mean, it's 100% what I would do. You know that you have to beat Helmassar King. You don't necessarily have to do the other stuff.
Oh, there's the Mire Big Key in the Dark Horseshoe room here. Wow. Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
tstew is using the key here on the Harmless Hellway. That is a heck of a play.
So, the good news for tstew is there's 3 more pod keys out there to find. But man, leaving behind a crystal you could get right now, that is a bold play.
Sure is. Alright, I think we might be... First of all, we're getting whatever's on the island here. I didn't even see what it was. Hey, small key. Hey, the other Castle Tower small key. There we go. Not gonna take 18 years to locate.
Oh, yeah. Obvious point pointed out by chat. tstew died in Spike Cave. He doesn't have a bow.
tstew doesn't have the bow. That is correct. I am a dumb.
That raises a really good point in general. When does tstew go back for the bow? And we are almost in no mode. We aren't because we don't know if Eastern is accessible without the mitts.
So I wouldn't be surprised if tstew finds the other bow before he goes back to Spike Cave. I mean, we don't know for sure if it's available, but it might be. WallKicks heading over to Dark Shopping Mall area. Good old pile of garbage so far. We are going to get to see the right-hand side.
In WallKick's situation, he's totally going to hunt entrances as much as he can because he really wants to find Eastern Palace.
Oh, there is another sword on the right side of Pod there, so that's pretty useful for tstew. Also going to be quite useful whenever WallKicks heads back there.
So tstew now has what he needs to get full crystal knowledge. He just has to map check here. Yep, learns Swamp's a crystal. By elimination, he knows Desert's a pendant, and tstew knows what he has to do. And tstew will catch up to most of what WallKicks has pretty quickly as soon as he finds Ganon's tower. Unfortunately, it's not in a great spot.
Yeah.
Though that bow could be an issue if tstew puts off a return trip to Spike Cave. We don't know where the second bow is, but it's increasingly looking like it's nowhere good.
Yeah. Okay, so there's another key to Pod on Landmo. So that's one place where tstew could pick up an additional small key, though I doubt he'd be particularly incentivized to go to Landmo.
I mean, given where Landmo is, like when you walk into Desert back there, you gotta do it.
Fair enough. There's our laser eye wall for Turtle Rock.
Oh, and WallKicks walked in that door like one frame too fast. Pretty annoying to fail the bomb.
I found the Hyrule Castle small key, so now the Zelda cell chests and stuff are in logic, though I don't believe there was anything important there. And there's a Thieves' Town. So it looks like WallKicks is on a pendant hunt, apparently.
Though we don't have either Thieves' Key, so...
Fair enough, yeah.
Likely we're not really going anywhere in this dungeon. We're just going to get the first 4 and move on. There's our 5th pod key between both runners. That's of some convenience. Of course, in WallKick's position, what he's probably going to do pretty soon is go back to Castle Tower and beat Aga 1.
Yeah, that does seem reasonable.
Yeah, tstew had a
that would get him another pod key.
Yeah, tstew just had a lot of trouble executing a Kern jump. Not usually what you would expect, but it's what happened.
Oh, vanilla big key. Oh boy.
And yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with WallKicks. You just turn and leave. Forget it. It's nothing. It's not important. You'll come back later if you have to, and you have the small key. If the Thieves' Town small key is fully vanilla and there's some other value in that dungeon, that's really unlucky.
Yeah, or if, like, the Maiden Chest is the one item that is still in logic there. But it's not pretty. You don't expect that to matter. Alright, sword for WallKicks as he heads over to Chomp Room. And as you expected, tstew is going to head to Landmo here.
It would just be a very hard decision to make to come to the shopping mall, find Landmo, who's a pretty fast boss to kill, all things considered, and just leave this behind.
Yeah. Now, here's the question I have for you. Given that tstew hasn't found GT and is still missing a lot of items, how do you think he handles finding Thieves' Town here in a second?
I think he does the same thing WallKicks does, because in his mind, find Eastern or find GT, there's actually even more value in the entrances that he hasn't seen.
Seems entirely reasonable. Looks like we're going to get a catfish check.
I would expect this to be the end of a route for WallKicks. Check catfish. I can't remember if he's been to Zora River or not. But do all that if he hasn't, and then beat Castle Tower and do any pod area stuff after that.
Yeah, maybe. If I were WallKicks, I might consider going to beat pod first, because it's next to Castle Tower.
WallKicks doesn't have the pod big key yet.
Oh, he doesn't have the big key. You're right. That is the one thing we're missing. He's about to.
Yeah, this is going to color WallKicks' route pretty heavily. And Pod Big Key is going to lead him straight to Meyer Big Key, too. So we're quickly going to enter a where is Eastern mode.
Yeah, and I would be terribly unsurprised if it was behind the glove, of the second glove. Because we're kind of running out of entrances anyway, aren't we?
Yeah, really, I think the only way it's not is if there's a connector to Meyer we haven't seen.
Yeah, welcome everybody from ZSR3. I don't know exactly how that race went, but I'm sure it was interesting to watch. Fun all around. This, of course, is tstew versus WallKicks, game number 3. I believe the other match that was on was also a game number 3. So
WallKicks pretty smartly ended his sort of Turtle Rock Middle Bridge stuff, like, hey, I'm right by back a skull. I know it's a crystal. Well, he somehow knows it's a crystal. I don't remember what map check told him that. But either way, let's just kill Mothula right now.
So it wasn't the map check that told him that, it was the fact that he picked up the pendant in desert.
Oh, yeah, that would be informative now, wouldn't it?
Alright, Moth time for WallKicks.
So
Moth doing what I do so often.
Jerk to WallKicks.
Absolutely.
Like, there's really not even the slimmest risk that WallKicks fails this fight, but Mothula is doing his best to make it as slow of a fight as possible.
All right. Crystal acquired once again. So that evens up the crystal count. And yeah, WallKicks is headed over to pod.
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting spot for WallKicks, because it would be tempting to just clear out the pod area just to learn whether you're in go mode or not, but we know at this point that he probably needs mitts. So checking a bunch more items is what he was going to want to do.
So tstew has found a way to Dark East Summit here. Through the... Oh, well, there's the Fairy Ascension Cave connector as well. How in the heck were you supposed to get up here? I am concerned about logic at the moment, but I'm sure we'll figure it out eventually. Anyways, WallKicks now on the Tempered Sword. And there's Eastern Palace.
I think the big deal about the logic here is that you could get the mirror without the pearls. So you use Spiral Cave to reach Death Mountain Floating Island, and then you just mirrored, and that would let you reach Laser Bridge to get the pearl.
All right, where was Spiral Cave, though? I didn't see where it was.
Oh, I don't remember. It's whatever connector tstew just took. Finding Eastern here, we as chat are in no mode, but this is a very interesting sort of no mode where both runners have things they haven't found that are not necessarily going to be easy for them to find.
Yeah, I thought that Spiral Cave was in the waterfall, which and the flippers were in GT, so that doesn't add up. Hera small key, what? No. Alright, and WallKicks goes ahead and goes to defeat Helmasaur immediately, which is definitely the play. Oh, Spectacle Rod claims waterfall. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. Well,
that is
you know what?
Fourth crystal for WallKicks. And yeah, mitts for tstew, which... that's interesting itself. It means if WallKicks goes on a mitts hunt, he's not going to find them.
I can't imagine any scenario in which those mitts are actually going to be useful now. But we're definitely... our speculation about Eastern Palace being behind the mitts, that was never going to happen.
Those mitts might help tstew find GT.
Oh,
that is huge.
tstew finds the second bow in the vanilla big key chest of Eastern. That is such a big deal. Oh my goodness.
That is the bailout of all bailouts. Like, honestly, I've been convinced for the past half hour that WallKicks had a very large advantage. I don't know anymore. Because with that bow, like, WallKicks is never finding that bow. tstew's never finding the bow in Spike Cave. They're both finishing with different bows. But the big deal is that tstew just has to find GT, and he has a path to finish.
And, I mean, finding those mitts does make going to GT even easier. Not that you would necessarily go that way, but it just gives you another excuse to head into that entrance.
Okay, here's the reminder point. Where were those two Castle Tower small keys that WallKicks found?
One of them was in Misery Mire, and the other one was on the island in Lake Hylia.
Okay, the one on the island in Lake Hylia, after GT, that's going to be one of the first spots tstew's going to look for a Castle Tower key. You know, it's a small key he's already seen. The one in Mire, that one's a little more interesting. It's on a path he will check it, but it's not clear how much he's going to check.
Yep, Lumberjack Ganon like you do, like it tends to be. Now, I mean, I'm reasonably certain the way the entrance randomizer works is the first thing it does is it does the entrances and then the items are placed. So
that is correct. It first randomizes the entrances, then it randomizes what dungeons are pendants and crystals. Then it does If it's not key sanity, it does dungeon keys and such. If it is key sanity, those get lumped in with other progression items, and the nice to haves and the junk items.
Doesn't it do the drop downs first?
Yeah, within the pool of entrances, it has all sorts of specific rules of what happens when, but that doesn't really affect the distribution too much. Like, it technically does the drops first, and then it places the smith, and then the bomb shop, and then everything else.
Yeah, but with the drops being placed first, you can pretty much assuredly say that, all things being equal, the drops have a perfect 1 in 8 permutation, like an 8 factorial permutation situation here.
Yeah, I guess it technically places all the connectors, and then the smiths, then the bomb shop, then all the single entrances. Because it has to make sure all the must connects aren't used on anything they're not supposed to be.
Yep. It shuffles the back of tavern whenever you walk in the door.
So, it's very easy to shuffle the back of tavern code-wise. I might be the only person who's actually seen what happens when you do it. It's kind of funny. You just walk in and you get stuck. Or when you try to leave, Link automatically walks down and walks right back in. You're soft-locked inside the back of tavern. You can never escape.
So in order to make that work, if you really wanted to, you'd have to code in like a special exception for leaving the back of the tavern and what happens after you do that. And nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, another fun fact, the reason the old man is never at the Vanilla Mountain Cave door is if you walk out of that entrance with the old man following you, the game just locks up.
Ah. Interesting.
Something about being on top of the trigger for the event, for the old man returning at the same time that it's just loading the overworld in general. It doesn't like it. This game doesn't like doing two things at the same time.
Will the old man not follow you through an overworld transition?
The old man won't let you go into any caves when he's following you.
Yeah.
He will follow you through, like, the portal to the Dark World.
Yeah. I was just wondering, like, he, like, theoretically you could put, like, what if you put the old man's cave on the east side of Death Mountain? And you tried to hookshot across.
He would do that. The reason that's not allowed logically is once you rescue the old man, you're stuck with him. And, like, it actually even sets your save and quit point to the old man's cave. So if you didn't have hookshot and you rescued the old man, you would have a problem.
Yeah, that makes plenty of sense. See, I always learn so much whenever I do commentary with you. It's great. All right, WallKicks has now located Eastern Palace.
So yeah, that's go mode for WallKicks. He just has to kill Armos Knights here, then go back and kill Vitreous and Trinex.
And we can tell that he knows he's in go mode because he skips the snot out of the first two chests here. So no silvers today.
How far you would have to go out of his way for those silvers? It's not clear they would even save time. Even if he knew where they were, and he obviously doesn't.
Oh, yeah. Not even going for the big chest. That's, that's pretty good for him. He's not going to get distracted by gloves shenanigans.
Speaking of things that are pretty good for runners, tstew just picked up his Castle Tower small key. So, the state of the race, I feel like WallKicks should have this, but tstew has a chance if he just beelines Ganon's tower after beating Vitreous here.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he won't be anywhere in the vicinity, but you never know. He might decide to head that way.
Ganon's Tower is the bottom of Fairy Ascent Cave, which is, the cave behind the Mitz Rock on East Light Death Mountain. But yeah, given that T-Stew's catch-up potential involves go-moding Swamp anyway, this would prevent him from finding Tempered Swords, so probably WallKicks has this.
I don't know. I kind of feel like that chest with the sword in it in Swamp, though, is one of the ones I would pick up if I was still looking for a sword. I don't know.
Yeah, I suspect this is WallKicks making his move toward Turtle Rockets. Not really in a convenient location.
And the Dead Rock's not being particularly friendly today.
All else being equal, I do like the call to kill Trinex before Vitreous, because if you happen to find silvers from Trinex's drop, then it'll save time on Vitreous. More time than finding gold sword on the Vitreous drop will save against Trinex.
True. Yeah, I do expect, though, probably... Oh, well, never mind. There's a Tempered Sword.
So... Funny thing, you actually would have had the gold sword for Trinex if you did it the other way around, WallKicks.
You gotta, I don't know where you came up with your prognostication abilities, but you gotta give me some of that.
I mean, it's kind of a thing you always think about in when running randomizers, right? If I could do two things and the order mostly doesn't matter, what items could I find that would make the order matter, and use that to decide what order to do things?
Yeah, that is, I mean, that is a thing that good players would think about. Oh, boy.
And yeah, WallKicks is going to end with a very good time here. And going back into pod here, it's really logical from T-Stew. I don't think T-Stew has any of this time to spend at all. In all honesty, I don't actually know if T-Stew has enough time, even if he knew where all the items are from here on.
Yeah, missing out on the GT smorgasbord is
the crazy part is T-Stew probably doesn't feel behind, because he's not on pace for a bad time at all. WallKicks is just...
Yeah, WallKicks is on pace for an absurd time.
Yeah. WallKicks very likely gets a time like 143 or something, mostly because he has to beat Castle Tower.
Yeah, that's... Like, that is a ridiculous time. I've never even dreamed about being that fast.
And yeah, WallKicks has been in go mode ever since he walked in the door of Eastern Palace and learned that it wasn't Mitz locked. We know from T-Stew's side the Mitz were actually in Eastern Palace, so he was always going to do that, which guaranteed he was never going to have to explore the Maya region or any of the various isolated Mitz locked chests. And T-Stew's in go mode as soon as he finds Ganon's Tower, which has the flippers.
So he's got to go down left side GT to really technically be in go mode, but once he gets there, he'll be done.
He'll also have to find the second castle tower small key, but it's on the Lake Hylia Island, and he's seen that it's a small key, so one would presume that's the very first place he looks once he has flippers.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. All right, Agate Tower almost complete for WallKicks. Just gotta, wait on a cutscene, and
then do a boss fight that is a cutscene.
Fair enough. That is an accurate assessment.
So for anyone who's looking at the time gains and losses from Aga 1, there's tiny frames you can gain or lose by minimizing his teleport distance. Otherwise, you have to mess up and miss a reflection. Randomizer guarantees all bosses for all players have the same initial RNG seeding, which in Aga's case means he'll always shoot the same pattern of blue balls and basic shots the first time you do the fight. If you die to Aghanim, you can make things all sorts of weird, but don't do that.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to be like super technically optimal here, you would try to knock Aghanim as close to the center as possible every time. But I find most runners don't even bother.
Yeah, and the other thing you always look for is you try to hold the wall without pulling on it. When he's shooting lightning, it very, very slightly reduces lag. Speaking of reducing lag, WallKicks don't hit Aghanim with your sword. That's a double whammy. It gives you a tiny bit of lag, and it's an extra heart to refill after the fight.
I mean, Aghanim's not cooperating. Oh my goodness. That's a 7-baller, y'all.
Yeah, tstew's going to get the second chest in Castle Tower. I don't know what it is, but I know it's not important.
He still doesn't have the lamp. Oh my goodness.
The lamp's in GT.
Yeah, it's right next to the flippers.
And yeah, it was pointed out in chat earlier, it's absolutely true. After beating Eastern Palace, tstew could have just mirrored and checked the entrance that had Ganon's Tower. And that was his opportunity to stay competitive in this race. He had a very hard road as soon as he didn't make that play.
Yeah, looks like tstew is getting, shall we say, debated by the good old mitts here.
Yet tstew at this point has to be assuming that Ganon's Tower is in the Mire region and he needs to find Flute to get there. We know, of course, that Flute is in Ganon's Tower, so he's not going to be finding Flute anytime soon.
All right, so WallKicks heading through Misery Mire here. I still need to remember to learn the old spooky glitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the one you don't set up on the overworld. You can... I don't know the exact setups there, but it's a thing you can do. In this case, where you're just go-moding through Mire and you don't have to hit that crystal switch, I don't think it saves much time. It saves a little bit.
Yeah. Pretty sure it involves dropping a block in the hole up here somehow. Definitely no need for WallKicks to have checked that desert entrance like we were saying earlier. That was a whole lot of garbage in there. All right, Vitreous time. Nicely done, taking care of those eyeballs. Not even bothering with cave strats. Just gonna take down the eyeballs, and we are good to go. Spiral Cave was the. It's called Lake Hylia Ferry in the spoilers. But I always consider it part of the Eastern Palace area.
Yeah, and mine. This was the Dark World side of it, so I would. Wasn't it the Dark World one that he went in?
I thought it was the Light World one, and that's how you would have gotten up here. Yeah.
Well, the way I label them, regardless, in my own notes, is I call the Light World one way too Eastern, and the Dark World one way too Pod.
Yep, that's.
And I call that what you called the Canyon Ferry. I label as way too desert.
Yeah, seems good. Oh, now we're gonna get to see the Turtle Rock entrance if we're interested in that. But I'm a little more interested in what WallKicks is gonna do to Ganon right now.
Yeah, WallKicks, it should still be possible for him to sub 145. It might depend on Ganon ports.
Wall Mimic Cave.
And I doubt WallKicks needs the gold sword to 1-1, but it sure makes it free.
That it does. It's the sort of thing even I can do. Going to pull out the lamp to secure that torch glitch.
Oh man, all the Ganon ports does not want the sub 145 to happen.
Ganon, stop. Okay. He's like, really? Eastern, you kidding me? How about no?
That was a pretty good first silverless hit that WallKicks was able to secure there.
Yeah, it was. And he's going to get triples here. Get it nice and set up here.
You know, WallKicks will be happy to learn which chest in Eastern was the silvers, because if it was any of the others, he would feel like he lost time. With it being that one, he wouldn't feel like he lost anything.
Yeah. Oof. Gets a little bit bodied there by some fire, but I don't think so. Wait, did he just slash for a hit?
Yeah, you can do that. The reason people use spins
I know.
It's just because it's easier, not because it's what you have to do.
Yeah, I was aware you could do it. I was just like, wow, just nailing it there. Just on the fly, just pulling it off. Very well done. And WallKicks is going to finish this thing with an official time of something in the 144s. I didn't even go look at it. There it is, 144.43. That is, oh my goodness.
That would have been such a more pleasing to look at time if he'd taken just a second longer.
Yeah, well, you just got to look on his stream and look at his timer, where he actually stopped on 144.44. Wow, that was...
tstew walking away from Ganon's tower again.
And it sounds like we have been joined by WallKicks.
Hello, GG's.
Well done, sir. That is a time.
Oh man, yeah, like I was getting so many things at the beginning. I think by the 45-minute mark, I was genuinely looking for keys and entrances. And so, like, I don't know, like it threw everything at us so fast.
Yeah, it was particularly remarkable where you didn't have either castle tower key until pretty late, and those are often just such a big problem, but they ended up not really being the issue. The issue was just, where is Eastern Palace?
Yeah, I think I had. If it wasn't there on Dark Death Mountain, I think the only other entrance I had accessible before I needed mitts or potentially a connector to the Mire area was the back of Skullwoods.
Yeah, it was
Which is why
particularly
when I got the Mire
remarkable
Big Key,
where
I'm like, let me
you have
finish
items
clearing out
this
Pod
powerful
in
until
case
late.
I
Those are
find
all
like
just
in case the
suddenly
mitts are in
dropped,
here,
they ended up not
and
being
that way, you know, when I start doing my
the issue was
entrances,
just where is
you know, I'm still
Eastern
gonna,
Palace?
if I see an item cave, I'm still gonna go through and look for mitts potentially.
And of course, in a great deal of irony, those mitts were in fact in the Eastern Palace big chest.
Oh my god.
If you want to
And
know
the
which chest in
silvers?
Eastern,
You
yeah,
wanna know where they
the
were?
Eastern Big Key.
Oh yeah, nope, no thanks.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, it's like he's gonna see Eastern and maybe be a little sad because most of those chests are on the way, but then he's gonna learn which chest it actually was, and he's not gonna feel sad at all.
Yeah, I mean, I was just happy that I found Eastern. Like, I was really becoming worried that it was going to be behind mitts, and I was just like, I don't know where to start. I'd probably start in Skullwoods, honestly, because that's like my most dense location.
Yeah, there were really two critical moments in this race, I would say. The first moment came early-ish, a little over half an hour in. Of course, you did Spike Cave and got the bow. When tstew did Spike Cave, he had to be about a frame away. He died walking off the spikes.
Oh no.
He never went back. We know where silvers are because that's the bow tstew eventually found.
Sure.
Which was a bailout for him in Eastern. It let him finish the dungeon when he was there, but it also meant he couldn't beat Pod his first time there, and he just didn't have the bow the whole seed.
Mm-hmm.
The other bigger moment is tstew never found Ganon's tower, and that's where the flippers are.
Oh yeah, I hit on that one pretty early. Because
Yeah,
I think
he's walked past the Fairy Ascension Cave with mitts in his bag multiple times.
I have to think that maybe he thinks he's already done it at this point. Like, he might have checked that entrance off. That's the only
possible,
thing I can
yeah.
think of right now.
And I mean, there's also the efficiency side of it, because while the item you actually needed from there was the flippers, you also got the flute and the lamp, and those, they just save time.
Oh, absolutely. And like when I found TR right early on and took it to Laser Bridge and got the Moon Pearl, I was actually pretty shocked. I'm like, wow, the Moon Pearl's here? I guess there's a logical way to it. I don't know what it is. But
It is taking that spiral cave connector, jumping down,
okay.
and veering.
Yep, that makes sense. But then it popped me out on top of East Death Mountain, and I'm like, well, I've got Mere Hammer, so let's go left first. Did all of West Death Mountain. There was a connector that took me to like north of Village of Outcast, and so rather than doing the entirety of Village of Outcast, I did the north checks and then went back into that connector to go back and do East Death Mountain because I felt that was pretty efficient overall. Because I knew at that point I also had normal Dark World access, so at worst I would save and quit to Sanctuary and just take the portal near Skull Woods and do south or do Village from there.
Yeah,
At least that was my mindset.
I will point out there was another path you could have taken toward ending this. I don't believe you ever actually went through that Fairy Ascension connector you found on West Death Mountain. That would have led you to the summit of East Dark Death Mountain as well, which therefore would have led you to Eastern Palace.
Yeah, I think that was on my list of things to check when I found Spiral Cave and took Spiral Cave, obviously. But in my head, I'm like, okay, these are the connectors that I haven't seen yet, and I knew one of them was Fairy Ascension. I think the other cave that was on West Death Mountain was Death Mountain Descent. So I was going to check those connectors as well to see if maybe one of them led to the Mire area.
Yeah, I don't know if we saw both sides of Death Mountain Descent or not. Because WallKicks never found the lamp, it was extra hard for me to keep track of which dark connector.
I mean, I have to figure it was either the Pod or the Eastern entrance, because they were both dark.
Well, because I know... Oh, Pod was also dark? Oh, yeah, no, Pod was Death Mountain entrance. That was Death Mountain Ascent. Eastern was the back of Old Man Save and Quit.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's actually really likely, given everything we know then, that the other side of that was a connector to the Mire region.
I'd believe it.
Though we know Flute and Mitts are accessible without going to the Mire region, so you could get there otherwise.
True.
And yeah,
so WallKicks, how does this
believe that the flute is what he's looking for, and he needs to get into the Mire region, but it's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, WallKicks, how does this rank in terms of your best times?
I think this is either a PB or second. I did play Dazed's 121 seed, which I don't necessarily count as a PB because I knew going in that was a 121. But I got like a 137 on that one. But this is either a PB or my second best time.
All right. It does sound like tstew has also joined us. I'm assuming you're done here.
GG's WallKicks.
GG's tstew. This was a heck of a series, dude.
So tstew, did you mismark the entrance behind the dark rocks on the east side of Death Mountain?
I thought that was a connector.
That was Ganon's tower.
Wait, which one was it?
It's
the
Farius
entrance
and Bottom, behind the Mitz rocks on East Light Death Mountain.
I don't think I went in there.
Yeah, because
Okay.
that was basically the biggest difference in this race. That was Ganon's tower. It had flippers as well as flute and lamp.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
The
that's
other big
only-
deal is you died in Spike Cave, and that was the other bow. But given that you found that bow in Eastern, that wasn't quite as critical as the not finding Ganon's tower.
Let me take.
I'm sorry, what? You cut out there for a second.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, I must have just forgot to check it for some reason.
Happens, dude.
Yeah, it happens to all of us every once in a while.
It's Crosskeys after all. You're gonna forget something every once in a while.
But yeah, it was still like when you picked up that bow in Eastern, we still weren't certain who was going to win this. It was, it all depended on how long it took you to get over to GT, and other than that, it was really close most of the time, and you had some significant advantages earlier on. You were definitely the first one to get a sword. Because you were the first one to get the sword in Turtle Rock. We like that Turtle Rock routing, where you went to the front first and then went to Laser Bridge. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I wanted to check those two chests first, and then I just wanted to commit to go to Laser Bridge with everything that I had.
Yeah, it actually, that sword, you had swords over WallKicks for a long time, and it was kind of funny where WallKicks' first sword was the only one you never found. Of course, it was just the first chest in Swamp. Always a sword in Swamp.
That is how it get. That is how it do.
Yep. But still, GG's to tstew. Dude's a hell of a runner. I am surprised I was able to pull off this win.
It was definitely a very competitive race throughout. It was only really pretty late in it where we started to see everything. And I guess I should drop the last piece of information. That small key on the Hylia Island was the other Castle Tower small keys, so with flippers it was not going to be difficult to find.
Yeah, that's one I would find. I would have gotten that pretty quickly.
Yeah, so that was an excellent race. I enjoyed watching every second of it. It was exciting for the time. It was exciting for the back and forth. It was exciting for the bow appearing in Eastern Palace. And it was just the sort of thing you want to see, even though one of you had to lose, unfortunately. But again, extremely well played to both of you, and congratulations again to WallKicks on winning this.
Yeah. Funny enough, our races aren't over yet. We're actually in the same group in Retrance as well, so really looking forward to racing tstew again in Retrance. That'll be another fun one for sure.
Yep, ready for round 4.
You'll have to beat me, so it'll be 2-2, and we'll have to find a deciding game 5 somehow.
In the next round of Retrance.
You know what? Fair. I like it. Let's go.
All right. Well, is there anything else you two would like to say before we wrap it up here?
Good luck at the rest of the tournament, WallKicks.
Yo, thanks. GG's again. I get to look forward to either, I think, Allison or Dazed. I'd like to thank them for taking the full 2 weeks because I'm moving next week and my availability kind of sucks next week. So it looks like I'll be able to be nice and moved and back where I'm going, and then I can focus on beating them and hopefully making top 4. Like, I went into this tournament thinking 5-3, I was going to be happy, and here I am in top 8 now. Holy heck.
Yeah,
well
anyone
done.
who made brackets already has a lot to be proud of, and it's all just the prestige from here, right?
Mm-hmm. So it'll be fun to race either Dazed or Allison. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, thank you once again to both of our runners, tstew and WallKicks, for putting on an excellent show today. I also want to thank our trackers, Jinxie Girl and Scott G239, for keeping up with all the items on the screen that you see here. And of course, my co-commentator, Amazing Amphros. Thank you so much for joining me today.
And thank you for joining me, Dr. Bob. You make it easy.
Thanks.
And on behalf of ZSR, thank you all so much for tuning in. It's always a pleasure to have such a wonderful chat. And big thank you to our volunteers, Amazing Amphros and Dr. Bob Tastic, Scott G, 239. Always a pleasure. And as always, be sure to come back for more exciting matches here on our continuing coverage of the Crossworld Key Sanity 2021 tournament. We will see you soon.